Hello, hi! It is I am the one and only Knuckles the Echidna here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as to be expected by this point. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Knuckles Chaotix for the Sega 32X add-on. So, last time we have managed to able to explore around on, I would say, Marina Madness in 3 acts in that particular zone, and also we managed to able to first time exploring through the worst zone in the whole game, which appears to be the amazing arena. And today for this episode, oh yeah, and also we managed to gather the final 2 Chaos Rings, and we would be able to have the ability to see the best ending of the whole game. And today for this episode in particular is the fact that, as you can see on screen, we are once again switching over now to Mighty the Armadillo once again, except now, here we go back onto Botanic Base, but this time around in Act 4. So either way though, and as you can see on the actual partner companion I have, is the bomb. So, but either way though, it's about time to able to actually see the actual bomb partner in action. So, but either way though, how it works for bomb, similar to the forms of how it does in heavy partner companion, is the fact that sometimes that it does have its little different attributes compared to the forms of heavy, but I will say is that bomb might not actually be recommendable for using wise, because, well, first of all, if you let your bomb get hit by any hazards or any enemies for that part, you lose abundance of rings if you manage to get caught by an explosion. That's a result for that kind of stuff though, although thankfully he's a little bit lighter in comparison to heavy, because you know how the fact that heavy is just, well, pretty heavy basically. So as a result for that specific stuff, however though, is the fact that I feel a little bit mixed upon the forms of, you know, specifically the bomb partner companion. Well, I usually think that the heavy partner companion was actually the worst partner companion to able to utilize with, because again, that he just goes like super slow because he was heavy basically, and that's as far as I can say about this, at least as far as I've noticed something like this happen. So yeah, obviously today's day is of course the 28th of December today, in this case in 2020, so naturally speaking we've only got about 4 more days to go until 2020 is officially over and done with. Because then again, I'll explain more details about the forms of when we manage to go towards the end of this particular Let's Play itself. So, but either way though, because of that though, I'll explain more on that later. So yeah, as far as getting to the actual special stages, in regards of able to try to get yourselves all of these 6 Chaos Rings, the amount of chances you might able to actually get those Chaos Rings is that I think you only have like 21 chances in order to able to get the 6 Chaos Rings for sure. But whilst the forms of whenever we get on to Act 5 on the other hand though, that we'll discuss more now whenever we get on to Act 5 in particular. So either way though, because of that though, yeah, because each and every single zone does manage to able to have themselves 4 regular platforming acts, as far as you already know. Because compared to Act 5, that's, well, we'll discuss on that later whenever we're able to get into Act 5 in particular. So either way though, we'll just gonna leave it to that, and we'll try to hold up, and hopefully there might be a goal in here somewhere. So but even that though, because again, sometimes the actual level design in this game can get, well, pretty messy sometimes, but it's nowhere near as like messy as Sonic CD's quite frantic level design, such as of course the actual color palettes might be a bit too loud at points. But regardless of everything else though, is the fact that I still managed to enjoy Sonic CD's level design for quite a bit, even with the forms of well, to be more specifically Stardust Speedway. That's what I was meant to say for this point, because again, I do apologize for the actual tongue twisting in the end folks, but either way though, that's all I can really think about that for the time's sake. Now if you guys are probably thinking about the fact that I was normally trying to able to cut out some of the footage of, you know, the Kami Catcher sequences right there every time whenever you get into certain stuff like this, I'm also able to show those off anyway, just for the sake of clarity for the playthrough and stuff. But either way though, that's all I can really think about it. So, anyways, what's the next level we're going to be entering now? And it looks like, talking of Botanic Base, we have Act 5 now. So that's meaning about the fact that we can now able to actually just well, experience the final act in this particular Botanic Base. So, and I think just like in Sonic the Hedgehog 1, and especially noticeable in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and even especially noticeable with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, that you get yourselves a full-fledged act, but then every once in a while though, there might be a boss coming up. So, unfortunately, for I've managed to research upon any other websites for that particular matter, that unfortunately I don't seem to able to have that much luck for able to actually find their bosses' specific names for the sake of this game, because although they usually just manage to call it, like, for example, whenever we get onto the boss fight in this zone, some people usually calls it Botanic Base Boss, and that's pretty much about it. But aside from all that stuff though, there are some other bosses I can usually just think of top of my head, but even then we'll point it out whenever we get on to, you know, the later progressioning in terms of, you know, this game in particular. So either way though, because chances are, they always like calls it like any other bosses or something like that, I don't know. Again, it has been quite a few whiles since I actually did manage to like, well, it's been about a whole day since I actually did manage to come back into recording sessions recently, because after all that I was being busy with Sonic and all that gang, to able to realize because of how the fact that, you know, you just have some spending a lot of time during new forms of trying to celebrate for hopefully a much better year than this year was for 2020, because again, I'll discuss more now whenever we get to the very end of that particular year itself. And speaking of Botanic Base actually, this will actually be the final time we're going to be seeing this particular zone, because, well, usually relatively speaking, that you know what's kind of odd is the fact that this is the only zone I actually come across into a lot in this Let's Play. Even though I've technically already done these kinds of stuff like this in the past, but unfortunately because my recording session just keeps on failing most of the time because of the actual irritating screen shifting problem, which I know most people seem to don't have that issue, but for me, I always attempt to have that particular issue for some odd particular reason, because, well, I didn't even like, you know, trying to able to bug out my computer or anything like that, or a laptop even. But even I know it's just a little bit of a buggy moment, especially noticeable if you really want to make things a little bit more clear. And as you can see right there, sometimes we actually come across into those little cinematics and what have you, meaning about the fact that we actually come across into, what else? The first boss in Knuckles Chaotix, depending on what level zones you're going to be entering to. So basically here we have is the Botanic Base boss, which I'm not even kidding, that's what its name. So basically all you do right here is the fact that, as you can see, your partner companion gets clawed up, as you can see right there. And basically, in order to deal the damage on Dr. Eggman, as you can see right there, well, you have to get a lot of emphasis on the forms of that particular Tiva or the rank Teva. So that way you can able to actually just to get your biggest good aiming shot right at Eggman, and that way it should able to counter hit. Then, much like in any other Sonic boss fights in particular, that only gets like 8 hit points. So, self-explanatory stuff if for those of you who've ever played any other Sonic games before. But here's the thing though with this particular fight, is the fact that you have to watch out for the actual electricity stuff, because if you somehow manage to get hit by those electrical stuff, as you can tell, basically you lose rings. And also you might able to actually just to get off the actual the rank Teva kind of stretchy kind of movements right here. And also your partner companion did manage to able to get out of defaults of that particular crane contraption, so. But you know, every once in a while though, it's the fact that you might as well able to get back into that specific segment right there. This particular boss fight is kind of unique in that respect, but the problem with that is that most of those boss fights in this game is incredibly easy. Well, I will have to admit though right away is the fact that there's only one boss exception, which I'll discuss more on that at some point until tomorrow. Spoiler warning for those of you who want to know what that boss is going to be like. But again, we'll save that up until later, so... And that, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much wraps it up by the forms of Botanic Base. And every time whenever you complete the entire, like, 5 acts per zone, as you can see on the actual information board, as you can see as what it's scrolled over, this meaning about the fact that I can no longer go and replay that particular stage all over again. And also, as you can see, that particular picture icon has been destroyed as well. So, that way, we've only got about 4 zones left. So, even then, let's see what the next level we're going to be entering to. Well, as you can clearly see, unfortunately, we're going back into Amazing Arena again. So, even then, that's all I can really delve to for the sake of time. And also, because of how the fact that, as you can see on this little indicator thing right here on the top right corner, it actually tells you where the light switch is. And what do I mean by that? When it comes to like me opportunities to able to actually go all the way to the light switches, basically because if you somehow manage to complete the level in the Amazing Arena, and basically what happens is that if you do not activate the light switch at all, in terms of, you know, the Amazing Arena itself, basically what happens is the fact that, well, it doesn't count as the forms of the actual, the stage completion or something, because you have to rely on, you know, do a lot of exploration, and you have to find a light switch before you complete the level. And I think this is the only zone out of the 5 they're able to have themselves a special condition when it comes to completing certain levels. Because, basically, that's, usually, relatively speaking, I think the only zone, whenever I first time I played this game on my own time, that I screwed up in level 3, because I need to able to find that particular light switch. And, if I somehow don't manage to able to, like, activate that light switch, and then if I get into the actual, the stage clear kind of signpost, and then it just says, like, sorry, challenge failed, you have to do this again if you want to come back. And I was just like, god damn it. Yeah, because I just usually despise this this zone so much. I can definitely see why, that most people seem to really hate this zone so much just because if it's all labyrinthy, and it's also because of the actual special condition of the, you know, every zones in this game. Because compared to Botanic Base, and especially noticeable with Marina Madness, and even the forms of the other 2 zones that we haven't come across into yet, that there might be simple point A to point B kind of syndrome. But no, in the forms of in Amazing Arena, you have to able to turn on the light switch before you're able to, well, completely done with the actual stage, or even especially noticeable if you really want to, well, move on to the next act, well, you just have to go for that stuff. Now, if you're probably wondering what is wrong with your rings counter, as you can see right there, that basically I actually got myself my -6 rings, which as a result, yeah, this is what I mean when it comes to, like, keep on using the callback button, and basically you can able to actually waste a lot of rings, as you can see right there. But if you can see right there that my rings counter is now -16, it actually subtracts my score counter, as you can see on this little results screen right here. Definitely not recommend you do that, even if you really want to go after the remaining chaos rings for sure, then, well, you just have to be able to not use that all that much. Even because of how the fact that if you really want to be still alive and stuff like that, well, you probably get the idea of that solution. So now we're returning back to SBO, and sadly, talking of the devil, we now managed to come across into Heavy as our partner companion yet again. Seriously, why do I always ended up being forms of that particular Heavy kind of partner companion? But even then though, since in 1995, that after when this game was released, we're never going to see Heavy and Bomb ever again during the future Sonic games, which is kind of odd. I'm guessing it's probably because most people seem to never care about Heavy and Bomb kind of characters with none of their personalities and all that stuff, which I'm sure you guys may be able to know what I'm talking about. And finally, we're now moving on to the next new zone we can able to experience is Techno Tower. And basically in this particular stage applies is the fact that, well, we have to go all the way up to the top of the tower. By simply able to go for a lot of, like, loops and stuff, and eventually every once in a while though is the fact that we might as well able to do a lot of, well, climbing involved, because that way we can able to actually just, well, see the top of the tower, basically. So either way, though, and this is where the point where the partner system gets a little bit too iffy in this stage, because most of the time, if you really want to fling yourselves with, you know, with these springs that I've talked about since the isolated island intro stage, because basically sometimes it's always like a struggling between like a tug of war kind of syndrome or something. Even worst case scenario with Heavy and stuff, because again he was just, you know, weighs a ton. But if you're extremely lucky with those movements, as you can see from the start, that you could able to potentially get some progression, but it's just that, well, usually because of how the fact that some of these ally computer player controlled partners can sometimes either help you, whilst most of the time it just ended up getting stuck in certain places, which even then, now that might be seems a little bit problematic when it comes to, like, for those of you who have a first time experiencing this game so throughout, but either way, there's just a little bit of a nonsensical kind of coincidence anyway. But you know, you get the idea for that little topic I was going to be thinking of anyway. So, anyway, let's go ahead and pick him up, and, hopefully we should be able to find the correct pathway, so that way we could be able to actually just to speed up a notch, and, hopefully we should be able to actually just, well, it can be kind of lengthy in some stages like these, but, for the most part it's not too bad, and I don't honestly find this to be all that too shabby either, so, but either way though, Heavy, can you get away from that particular pointless bonus stage ring, because I certainly found this to be very pointless when it comes to going there, because again, the only thing you can only get is just points and all the other stuff. That's pretty much about it, so because of that though, there was no sense of reward for able to actually just to do all that stuff. Even though most of the time, because of how the fact that sometimes my partner companion always gets stuck at some points, but either way though, yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. So yeah, there we go, and there we go. Now we made it to the end of Techno Tower part, well, I would say Act 1, so, but either way though, because chances are, again, we only just managed to get started with that particular 2 remaining zones that we've not touched upon yet, so, but either way though, it's so weird how the fact that SPO did manage to able to change into its different colors and stuff like that. I guess it's a little bit understandable in terms of like the real life version of that chameleon species, because obviously it actually changed color depending on what food that they ate, so, or something like that. I don't know if that's what circumstances are for. And unfortunately we're going back to Bomb again, as in the partner companion, but either way though, I'm just not a big, you know, I'm still a little bit mixed with that particular partner companion right here. So anyways, let's see what the next zone we're going to be exploring on. And turns out, we're actually exploring on to the next new zone. In this case, the final new zone that we haven't touched upon yet. And this zone is kind of a fun one. It's basically Speed Slider. And this particular zone is pretty fun because you can able to actually experience with high-speed platforming action, or in this case you're able to obtain high speed as much as you want. So but even then, I found that particular zone to be pretty cool to explore, and also the music itself as well. It's almost like energetic at the same time, which I always appreciate about that specific matter. But either way though, that's all I can really think about it. But then again though, there's no need to worry about like obtaining 50 rings to save up for the special stage again, because again, we've already managed to able to get every single of those chaos rings for the entirety of the main adventure, that's for sure. Oh yeah, if you're probably wondering about those items that I did manage to pick up from, specifically, you know, with that particular arrows, as you can see right there on the bottom center of the screen, this actually shuffles your character depending on what, if you are the leader. Let's just say, for example, if I was a leader of SPO, then basically what happens is the fact that if you do manage to obtain that particular item, it actually switches me over to the actual partner character, as in Bomb, for example. But then it only lasts for about a few seconds until you're able to actually go back into its normal state. But either way though, it might not be that complicated. Well, at least as far as I'm noticing that from the start. And there's also some other couple of items, like for instance, the shield will allow you to protect you for, you know, just trying able to keep your rings count if you really want to get the special stages, if you really want to, you know, get the remaining of those, you know, chaos rings for sure. And there's also the bigger arrow, you know, item monitors, which actually gives you giant, which I think it certainly did helps if you really want to do the continuous amount of climbing, which I think that's why I can really think about this. But the mini one, however, though, is always the worst, because, well, you don't jump high enough, and also because there is nothing else you can do if you're in mini form for that matter, which even then, you always have to avoid the mini item at all costs, because, well, it doesn't do anything for you, because, you know, otherwise you'll be able to actually get stuck into its small size. But, you know, you get the idea. Alright, so we're now returning back into Speed Slider again, but this time around in Act 2. So, but either way though, we could expect to able to see some more fun speed here and there. So, yeah, you get the idea of how this is going. So, either way though, we'll just gonna have to leave it to that. And also, sometimes partners' companions can screw me up just like that. Especially noticeable how Vector accidentally managed to went into this pointless bonus area right here. Which again, it seems kind of pointless, but either way though, I just cannot even believe I accidentally just managed to let my component entering in that particular area, or for the sake of the forms of that particular bonus, kind of pointless to it. But you know. Okay, something's worth mentioning for this point too is the fact that, well, to be honest with you guys, I don't think there's not much else you can talk about, apart from the fact that, well, I usually just talk about several gameplay mechanics for this game so far, in terms of how this Let's Play actually turned out to be. But either way though, that's all I can really just try to able to compromise for something, so... Okay, something's worth mentioning too is the fact that, not again! God. Come on, leave. Leave now, thank you. I have no idea why that just comes out of nowhere most of the time, but anyway. But it usually kind of does the exact same, structurally speaking, in terms of like the similar thing, for how it does it if you ever find the special stage rings in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, or in this case, don't forget, mind you, Sonic Mania. Well, at least before that. But there's also technically Sonic Jam on the TaikoGamecom.com handheld device, which it's more likely is like a combination of not Sonic 1 is not included for whatever reason, but rather by the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Sonic and Knuckles, which the lineup seems pretty solid, but here's the bad news, however, though, is the fact that Sonic Jam on TaikoGame.com particular handheld device is, well, rubbish, because even then though, because I do notice that the physics has been slightly off, and also because you have to deal with the black and white color scheme, and not to mention is the fact that the music is horrible, like even horrifically horrible in comparison to Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis for the Game Boy Advance. Oh jeez, I have no idea how can I describe that. But anyway, let's go ahead and finish the level here, and let's not dive right into the special stage ring, because, you know, we've already got all of the Chaos Rings, that's for sure. So either way though, that's all I can really think about it. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure we're actually on to the halfway point of this particular progression so far, which, relatively speaking, we're actually doing pretty well if you ask me, because even then though, despite there are some trickier, or in this case, the actual AI computer player sometimes always trying to mess you up at certain form points worth noting for. But either way though, that's all I can usually just talk about that. And son of a biscuit, I always ended up with bomb again! Oh jeez. Anyway, we're just gonna have to leave it to that, I suppose. But anyway. Alright, so let's see what we got this time. Let's see what the next level we're gonna be entering next. And looks like we're going back to Techno Tower again. I really don't mind Techno Tower as far as the actual zone itself is concerned, because of how the fact that it's all about, you know, just trying to climb all the way up to the top of the tower, as you might as well know. But yeah, that's as far as I can think about it. But weirdly enough, every time whenever you get into that, the different active variations of specifically for this zone, it doesn't seem to really change much, although the only thing is different is the fact that with the goal placement is different, which I could assure to you because of how the fact that that's as far as I'm usually guessing correctly, although I may be wrong, but either way though, let me know in the comments below. So either way though, that's all I can really think about it. And oh no, stupid explosions! Anyway, something's worth mentioning too, actually, for those of you able to want to know, that there's actually a tech sort of demo prototype, which for the sake of the prototype of this game, because yeah, that does exist around in the forms of the Mega Drive emulators, which I don't know if I might as well show this to you, but we'll see what happens whenever we get into the forms and the extra stuff of how this game offers us to. So yeah, basically, the prototype of this game actually calls it is Sonic Crackers, which the game actually involves around playing as both Sonic and Tails and utilized with that particular ring tether from the start. And basically, it all evolves around, it's just basically, it always kind of reminds me of this particular stage of something related to something, which this Techno Tower zone reminds me of that particular one whole zone in Sonic Crackers Knuckles Chaotix prototype. And the only major difference is between the prototype compared to the final release of Knuckles Chaotix is the actual graphical overhaul. Especially noticeable because this actually runs on a Sega 32X even. So yeah, that's as I was trying to able to figure this out. And god dang it, we're going back into this stupid little pointless bonus thingy again. But oh yeah, something's worth mentioning too is the fact that in addition to able to actually let your ring counts able to decrease every time you're able to actually experience these kinds of stuff, in addition to that, the controls are so stiff. Like, I swear I was gonna able to actually exit this zone by able to actually pressing the up directional pad, even though, mind you, I'm playing it with the keyboard after all, so I just want to let you guys know. Because I was expecting to able to play it with the Mega Drive controller, well, usually based off from the Mega Drive Classic Mini controller, so that way I can able to play that on, well, the actual controller. But unfortunately though, I have some bit of issues when it comes to syncing up with, you know, the actual controllers and stuff. Although I'm pretty sure the Bluetooth is only requirements as a recommendation for certain controllers, like for instance with, you know, the DualShock 4 controller, as well as, you know, the Xbox One controller, and stuff like that for that nature. But either way though, it just comes off as a little bit weird sometimes, even because of how the fact that I'm pretty much used to with, you know, the normal control types in during the forms of certain console generation kind of stuff, which, you know, you get the idea for that solution. I have no idea why I keep on saying that word, probably because it's a little bit too repetitive to think of, but either way though, I think we might as well do one more act for now, for the sake of the forms of this video, and it looks like we're going back into its normal morning kind of time, which at the moment it was actually 4 o'clock, according to the forms of that particular clock display, as you can see on this little, well, as you saw for about a few seconds ago. And god damn it, we're going back into heavy again. But let's just hope if we do not get Marina Madness, well, not so much Marina Madness, but to be more specifically, you know what I mean, it's Amazing Arena, because, you know, Amazing Arena can be really aggravating with heavy and stuff. Well, speaking of, well, you know, Marina Madness, we're going back there again. Except now, we're going to be entering the Act 4 version of that specific act. And whenever we go back into there for the 5th time, we'll come across into the next boss, and vice versa in terms of likely the later zones throughout. So, but even then though, yeah, that's as far as I can usually have to say about this for the most part. I will say this though, is the fact that Marina Madness zone, it feels very generous when it comes to giving you a lot of opportunities to get a lot of rings from. I have no idea what it is, but I'm pretty sure because of how the fact that, well, if you really want to get the higher amount of rings as you could, well, it's best to recommend if you're able to collect a certain amount of rings if you really want to able to stay alive on the later half of the special stages front, if you really want to go after every single chaos rings, but you know. And plus with SBO right here, as you can see on this particular stage, you can able to actually skip some segments, as you can see right there, which makes every single part of using SBO can be super satisfying in this game. That's basically that you can able to climb on walls. Well, to be more specifically, walking on a wall. So because of that though, he's more likely a ninja chameleon, which either way though, which actually is trying to represent him with before when Sonic Heroes came out. And even before Shadow the Hedgehog exists, even though despite the fact that, well, he was actually helping you in the mission. But aside from all that stuff though, that's all I can say here. And as you can see, we actually gained 94 rings so far out of 100, even though despite the fact that if you get 100 rings, obviously because this game doesn't have the extra life system, which means it's pretty obvious because instead it actually just, well, nothing happens to you. But anyways, I think similarly to say, since we actually finished this particular stage, I think we should probably end things up here. So join me, rather, next time on Let's Play Knuckles Chaotix, is the fact that we might as well go back into the any other zones again, and hopefully we'll take on even more boss fights in particular. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.